It was a gloomy morning in late October. The sun was supposed to brighten the day, but the clouds were so thick that the motion sensors that turn on the lights on both sides of the garage door were still working at 7:12 when I took out the trash. The sidewalk and driveway were damp, but not wet. It was raining around 6 in the morning when I walked into the main bathroom. I could hear the drops hitting the skylight 15 feet above the tile floor. They weren't large drops, like a rainstorm, but they fell steadily, medium in size, judging by the sound of the drumming, until I went to the kitchen for a second cup of coffee. I realized that it was already after 7, but since the trash is usually not collected until 10, I was in no hurry to throw away the last bag that I collected around 5:30. I was distracted on the computer reading a story, and then the sound of a school bus passing by brought me back to reality at 7:07. I took off my slippers and put on my LL boots. Being, as I had to walk through wet grass to get the trash can out of the plastic shed next to the garage. Returning inside, I changed my shoes back into slippers. Jackie Jax left for work at 5 in the morning, saying she had a lot to do before she opened the doors at 8. She cracked the garage window open and said we would need to fill up the car later in the day. Her low fuel light came on. The postal car passed at about 11 a.m., and I looked outside. The asphalt was dry, so I got out in slippers. I heard a noise from the house at the end of the street. The house was recently sold, and it sounded like drywall being torn off. I knew that sound from personal experience and from HGTV, which Jax became hooked on after seeing a couple of shows when we lived in another house. Now she watched it almost constantly, unless it was Dancing with the Stars or Dance Moms. Otherwise, it was Real Estate Brothers, Buy or Sell, Home Remodel, and so on. The DVR feed was filled with her favorite shows, plus a couple of ones I was watching. Her 80% versus my 20%. Oh yeah, I forgot about The Ellen Show, which recorded every day when a new episode aired. She was a couple of months behind on this. Jax got home around 4 and walked into the kitchen and asked, "Did you see the Lambert's dumpster?" "No, but I heard drywall being knocked down when I picked up the mail. Or it could have been an old parquet, I guess. I wonder what the new owners are doing." She headed to the bedroom and returned a few minutes later, saying, "I'm going for a walk. I'll be back in a few minutes." I didn't have time to respond because I heard the door slam shut at the end of her sentence. These few minutes stretched into half an hour. She came back and said, "The contractor showed me the plans to renovate the Lambert's house. The new owners are the Miller family. They came from Toronto. He is a hockey coach, and she is a housewife with 2 children, 8 and 6 years old. That's all the contractor told me. The plan looks very good. They plan to finish in a month, and the Miller family will arrive in 6 weeks." "So you had a good chat?" "Yes, Jeff is very nice. He explained the plan and schedule to me in detail. He said that I could come in at any time to see how the work was progressing." "That's very kind of him." "Yes, he is a very nice person and loves to chat." "I'm sure so." I smiled and headed towards the garage door. Jax grabbed her bag. I opened the garage door and we walked out. As we drove past the Lambert Miller house, Jax waved to a tall, broad-shouldered man who responded with a broad smile. I didn't say anything for a few seconds, and Jax added, "It was Jeff." I waved to him. "I thought so, because you don't seem to be used to waving at strange men. Or am I wrong?" I noticed the displeased expression on her face, but ignored it. We stopped at Wendy's, then filled up her SUV and filled the gas can for my lawn mower and snowblower. When we returned, the Lambert Miller's van had already disappeared. It was a quiet evening. Jax was watching something on TV in the bedroom, and I was watching NCIS in the living room. I dozed off and went to bed around 9:30. Since the bedroom door was closed, I went to the computer room and settled in. This has already become commonplace. I could take a nap and Jax was on her feet all day, so it worked for us at this point in our lives. The only negative is that the stress from her work almost completely destroyed our sex life. Jax usually had a high level of desire, but over the past year and a half, it has practically disappeared, and I didn't like it. Let me tell you a little about Jax. When we met, she was 155 centimeters tall. Now she's about 152 and weighs 42, maybe 43 kilograms. You know how weight can fluctuate. Her shoulder-length light brown hair has a natural wave, which she usually wears in a ponytail. She almost always smiles and always tries to see the best in people and situations. Definitely a man who sees the glass half full. She has a 30B bust, a 53 cm waist, and 82 cm hips. She's petite, but her bust looks great on such a petite figure in all but the baggiest of tops. We got up as usual on Wednesday at 3 am so she could make it in time for the store to open at 4:30 am and do everything necessary for the next delivery. This rarely changed. She got home around 8:30, slept a little for 2.5 hours, then we ate, and she left for the store again by 1:30, stopping at the bank on the way to change money. On Thursday, she got up at 3:30 am to be at work by 5:30 am and then returned home for a quick nap. When she arrived, she said that she would go see how the work on the project was going and would return in a few minutes. Her visit took 20 minutes, and upon returning she went to bed, asking to be woken up at 1:30 so that she could go to work by 3. Thursdays were short, since on Friday she worked all day, sleeping only 3.5 hours. When she returned on Friday night, she went straight to bed so she could be up for Saturday's delivery. After her Saturday shift, she would come home again, sleep, and get up on Sunday morning. And then she returned to the store again, having slept a little on Sunday afternoon. This cycle repeated itself week after week, except when her assistants needed time off for doctor's appointments, family matters, or court summonses. It was an exhausting life for her and a lonely one for me. On Monday morning, she went to work, then came home, went to see how the project was going for about half an hour, came back, slept a little, and went to close the store again. On Tuesday, she left early in the morning, returned, and went back to bed so that she could make the morning delivery on Wednesday. On Wednesday, Jax woke up at 3 am and left for work by 4:30 to take delivery at 5. At 8:45, I went to our mailbox to put the bill in because I forgot to do it earlier and saw Jax's SUV parked on the street near the Lambert Miller house. I returned home and waited. She called every day, every time before going home, no matter what her plans were at that moment. But this time she didn't call, and I wondered why. I also began to wonder what story she would tell. Jax returned home at 9:20 and said she forgot to call because she was on the road. Jax, is everything okay? You're all red. Did something happen? Oh well. There was a customer in the store who started being quite loud and obnoxious. I thought I would have to call the police. I was upset when everything worked out, so I thought about it. This was the first sign that we might be in trouble. She changed her clothes and asked me to wake her up at 1 p.m. so we could have dinner, and then she would leave for work at 2. I prepared dinner in advance and put all her snacks away while I read on my tablet until the alarm went off. Squeak, signaling that it's time to wake her up. We ate, and she mentioned Thanksgiving, saying she wasn't sure what we would do since she would have to work that day. I shrugged and said that I would be quite comfortable staying at home and not thinking about the trip. She never mentioned that she stopped at a construction site before leaving for a late shift at the store. As she left the garage, she said, "We'll get up at 3 tomorrow so I can get everything done before I start working with clients. Have a nice evening, darling. I love you." Love you too. See you. I didn't like that she didn't mention her stop at the construction site. And her story about the client was probably not true either, so I decided to monitor her movements more closely. At 10:35, the house phone rang and Jack said, "Hey, honey, I'm on my way home. Love you. See you in a few minutes. Love you too." She walked into the kitchen and handed me her soft lunch bag to unpack while she went into the bedroom to change. I went into her bedroom after turning off the TV in the living room. She was already in her flannel nightgown and heading to the bathroom. While she was sitting on the toilet, I kissed her forehead and said, "I'm done for today. See you in a few hours." I went to the computer room, where I settled down on the double bed and soon fell asleep. This is how we have lived for the last year. The company she works for required a lot of work to be done, putting products on shelves, rearranging departments by season, and so on. But at the same time, they did not want to give store managers many hours of work so as not to reduce profits. So Jackie, with her type A personality, worked over 60 hours a week to meet the deadline. But this rhythm took its toll on both of us, and she knew it. I've told her more than once over the past year that I see her too little, and when she's at home, her attention is taken over by Facebook and recorded TV shows. We got up at 3 a.m. and she wanted a little cuddle. This was a common thing for her, but for me it was a disappointment. Don't get me wrong, I love hugging her whenever I can, but it would be so much better if she wasn't wearing her nightie or top underneath, which is exactly the kind of closeness I was hoping for from a hug. By 3:10 we were moving, and by 4:42 she was gone, and I unfortunately had the day to myself again. She left at 4:42, and I unfortunately had the day to myself again. While I was making her a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I mentioned that we were running low on bread, and she said there would be a delivery today. Then grab a loaf, please. I heard a vague, "aha" from her. I did various things, and at the end of the day, I sat down at the computer. At 4:23 p.m., I called the store to remind Jax about the bread. The woman who answered said that Jax bought bread when she left about 10 minutes ago. I thanked her and hung up. Jax didn't call to say she was on her way home. I didn't like where my thought was going, but I had to check. I left the house and looked up the street. The contractor's van was there, but Jackie's CRV was not. I got home, put on my shoes instead of slippers, grabbed my phone and jacket, grabbed my keys, and walked out the side garage door. This is the door that cannot be seen when approaching from the Lambert Miller house. I walked down the driveway, turned right, and walked up the next street. At the next corner, I turned left, walked 2 blocks, and went down the street that also intersected ours, about 2 houses after the Lambert Miller house. The Dalton family lived on the corner and had a huge willow tree overhanging the street. And there, parked on the street, far from the intersection, sat Jackie's CRV. I walked up to the car and looked inside. Her lunch bag and bag of bread were on the passenger seat. I turned around and walked back home, wondering what to do next. Should I go to the construction site and start a conversation there? Were there any other workers there besides Jeff? What is she doing, hiding the car and lying to me? She parked so that even if I looked, the big willow tree on the corner would still be hiding the CRV. I returned home and waited for her to return. At 5:07 p.m., the home phone rang and Jackie said, "Hey, I'm on my way home, love you. So you should be here in a minute, right?" What? Well, you're parked on Maple Street at the Daltons, so it shouldn't take you more than a minute to get into the garage from there. She paused for a few seconds. I'll be there in a minute. I heard the garage open, then close, and Jackie walked into the kitchen. She looked a little tense as she handed me her lunch bag. "Honey, how did you know that the CRV was?" "So, Jackie, are you cheating on me with Jeff? You were with him today and did something that I probably wouldn't like." "No, I didn't." "What did you do for the last hour today and half an hour on Monday, and also on Wednesday morning when you forgot to call that you were going home, because it was an outright lie? If you didn't start an affair or something, then why lie?" "Nothing happened, honestly, dear. Nothing happened." "So you're saying nothing happened even though he kissed you and you kissed him back? It doesn't feel like nothing." It, it wasn't anything significant. Really, darling, it wasn't anything serious." "Is it true? So how many other men have kissed you, and you kissed them back in the last 30-plus years of our marriage that I don't know about?" "No one, honestly, no one else has kissed me." "What happened today when you hid the CRV and went to him?" "Well, he stopped by the store this morning on his way here and bought a few things, and we talked for a bit. He was very nice." "So again today, nothing important happened. Did he kiss you again? Did you kiss him again?" It was a whisper. "Yes." "What question, Jackie?" "Both." He kissed me, and I kissed him too. Tears were running down her cheeks again. And what else happened? Oh, please, darling, don't make me say it, please. Jackie, I'll give you a choice. Either you tell me the truth, the whole truth, or pack your things and leave the house. It's up to you to decide how it goes. Do you want 5 minutes to think it over? I left the kitchen and went to the living room, sat down in a chair, and opened the tablet, looking at the clock, 17:16. I tried to read the book I started. Jackie walked into the living room and sat down on the couch a minute later. I didn't look up until she said, "Honey, please look at me." I looked at her, and she saw tears in the corners of my eyes. She sobbed and wiped her nose with a handkerchief. Okay, we kissed today, and he wanted more, but I broke the kiss, looked at him and said, "I can't do this," and left the house. I sat in the car for 10 minutes to calm down before I called you that I was on my way home. I didn't want to go into the house with such a blush as yesterday morning. I told him I didn't want him to come to the store again. Forgive me, please forgive me. So I'm supposed to believe that none of your clothes were removed, that he didn't get under your clothes, and that you didn't get into his pants. Are you saying that his hands did not touch any private part of your body, and you did not touch any private part of his body? Yes, it's true. Neither of us touched the other's bare skin other than kissing. I'm so sorry, honey. I don't want to leave. How can I fix this? I'm not sure I believe you, Jackie. Why not? Why do you doubt me? Have you forgotten that you already lied to me this week about Jeff? Oh, honey, she jumped up from the couch and walked over to me. I'm so sorry, I'm not lying. Everything happened exactly as I told you. So you cheated on me, Jackie. What should I do now? I didn't cheat on you, Phil. The kiss and the fact that he touched you is not cheating. What then is cheating, Jackie? Just sex. I was angry, but to be honest, I spoke quite calmly and rationally. Oh, Phil, I never thought of it like that. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was like that. It's just that it's such a clear-cut situation, analytically. Jackie, I've never kissed another woman on the lips. I have never touched another woman, naked or clothed, because that already implies an intention to cheat. The physical act is it is the culmination of desire. You cheat in your heart before you cheat in your body. You were ready to give yourself to him, but stopped before the physical act itself. You have changed in your heart and in your thoughts before. Oh my God, Phil, I never thought about it like that. I betrayed you on several levels and didn't even think about it. I'm so sorry that I betrayed your trust and our commitment to each other. She stared at the floor, her voice filled with sadness, and tears rolled down her cheeks again. Jackie, Jackie. I reached out my hand and placed it on her shoulder, making her look at me. I don't know how we can resolve this situation. I'm not sure I can trust you to tell the truth. I'm not sure you're telling me everything that happened today. She sobbed, saying through her tears, "That's all that happened, honestly, Phil. Neither of us touched the other's skin. I didn't think that kissing was cheating. I didn't understand that it was a desire to be desired. I'm so sorry. Oh, what can I do to make it up to you?" I sat in silence, not knowing what to answer her, because I did not have an answer to her question. Oh, please, Phil, tell me what I can do to atone for my mistake, to make this right for us. She climbed onto my lap, put her arms around my neck, and we both cried for a while. Jackie, you need to get off my lap. My legs are numb. She got down and looked at me with reddened eyes and tear tracks on her cheeks. Phil, what can I do? Jackie, Stop calling me by name. I'm Jax, you're Jax. I looked into her eyes. Jax, my Jax would never let it go this far. You're Jackie now because I'm not sure. Ooh, oh, Phil, please don't say that. I'm so sorry. I didn't think about the implications of those kisses. Please forgive me, Phil, please. She fell to her knees again, burying her head and chest in my lap, and cried. When she stopped crying, I said, Jackie, you're not stupid. You knew what he wanted. It might have started out innocently, but by Tuesday you knew what he wanted, and you went there twice anyway. How can I trust you now after you lied and went to see him secretly? If you had been honest on Wednesday instead of that made-up story about the client, we would have talked and made some decisions. But today you went there, knowing what it could lead to, and you went anyway. I don't know how we can fix this. You are willing to start an affair, be it sexual or romantic, with sexual innuendos. Either way, you violated our trust. What would you do if it were the other way around? My tone became increasingly angry as I spoke. I wanted to leave, but I loved her too much. After a minute, she said, "You would never do anything like that to me because you love me. I don't know what I should do." And I thought you loved me too, Jackie. But you started dating him. You let him kiss you without stopping him. But I stopped him. I couldn't go any further than that. I left and returned home. But you let him go further than you should have if you were a wife who loves her husband. You allowed things to go too far, beyond the point where a married woman should have stopped it. I don't know what to do because you might go to him again, and next time you might not stop. I'll never go there again. I promise I won't see him again. I swear, Phil. How can I be sure of this? I can't be sure. You can, I swear, Phil. Please believe me, please. But you already lied to hide your meetings with him. What's stopping you from lying again? I can't trust you now. I think our marriage is over, Jackie. Oh, no, please, Phil. Please, there must be something I can do to make amends, to prove to you that I am trustworthy again. Please, Phil, can you think of a way for me to prove that I am trustworthy? I'm ready to do anything to correct my mistake. Anything. Please, Phil. I looked at her. She was full of guilt and looked very unhappy, and I myself was in the same pain as she was. Okay, can you give me until tomorrow to come up with something? Oh, I don't know, Jackie. I can't even figure out what I need to do to prove that you're not seeing him. He might come to the store to meet you, and I can't control that unless I sit and watch the store the whole time you're working and then accompany you everywhere. I don't think it will work for us. Please, Phil, think about it tonight. Maybe some way will come to your mind. I really can't lose you. I really can't lose you. You are the person I rely on and miss when I'm at work. Please think about it today, please, for both of our sakes, please. I sent her to bed, and I sat down at the computer and ordered 4 small GPS trackers. They were supposed to arrive tomorrow afternoon, and then I could track her bag, car, jacket, and leave one just in case. I also took her phone and installed a tracking app on it, so I could tell her in the morning that I can now see the phone's location at any time. If I feel like she's not where she should be, I'll call. If she doesn't answer or call back within 2 minutes, we'll break up. If I see that she has gone somewhere she shouldn't be, we will break up too. I wasn't going to tell her about the mini trackers, although with my conditions over the phone, they would most likely be unnecessary. But it's better to be safe than to be deceived again. I'm not the smartest, but I'm learning quickly, so we'll see what happens. I fell asleep on the bed in the computer room, and Jackie gently nudged my shoulder a few times to wake me up. I woke up slowly, feeling a little sleepy after a long night of thinking and making decisions. I also made a short list of articles of agreement that we both had to read, sign, and initial. I knew I was approaching this situation analytically because if I acted purely on emotions, I would have left 5 minutes after she arrived home on Thursday. The list of articles was in the printer, and Jackie held it in her hands and asked, "What is this?" Articles of the agreement place initials next to each clause. 1. The weekly schedule will be posted on the calendar. Deviations from the schedule must be coordinated with Phil via the store phone, not via mobile phone. 2. Verification calls to your cell phone or to the store may be made at any time if I have any doubts about your whereabouts. If you do not answer your cell phone and let it go to voicemail, and then do not call back within 2 minutes, I reserve the right to terminate this agreement within 24 hours with written notice of termination. 3. A tracking app will be installed on the phone, and if the phone is turned off for any reason, I will leave within the next 3 days. There will be no exceptions. The phone is turned off, I'm leaving for 3 days. 4. Grocery trips and other errands will be announced the day before if you plan to go without me. 5. Meetings with girlfriends or spontaneous outings may result in termination of this agreement with written notice and my immediate departure. I looked her in the eyes and said, "This agreement will either save us or destroy us. It all depends on you. If you don't want to sign it and live according to this list, then I will start looking for another place to live immediately. In fact, I already have several options saved in the browser, so if you don't need it, I'll start visiting them tomorrow. I will give you 12 hours to decide whether you want to sign and follow this agreement or our marriage is over." Jackie scanned the list and said, "What if I have a meeting and you decide to call me? I won't be able to respond within 2 minutes if it's a meeting with my territory manager or regional manager." You saw the point about the tracking app on your phone, right? Yes, but how does that solve the 2 minutes issue? Are you going to meet the area manager at the Holiday Inn or on our street corner? Well, we had a meeting one day at the Quality Inn. Yes, and you always knew about it a week in advance, so what's to stop you from telling me about the meeting in advance? So you want to know where I am all the time? Irritation appeared in her voice. Basically, yes, I want to know where you are anytime I want to check. I don't like this idea. No problem, Jackie. You can break the agreement, and I will start looking for a new place today, not tomorrow. Wait, Phil, sorry. I know I messed up a lot, but I didn't think you'd become such a helicopter husband. Well, what did you expect, Jackie? You lied, you secretly went to see him, you allowed him intimacy, and you want me to not worry about where you are at any given time. Have I ever been such a helicopter husband before? My tone was a little harsher than hers, but I was the injured party, and she needed to remember that. Okay, I'll give you the answer tonight. Okay, I'll start looking if you say no. She looked at me and didn't say anything because she knew that I always try to prepare for the worst possible outcome in some situations. I did not expect her to go to another man, and I had never considered such a possibility before. What she didn't know was that I had already installed a tracking app on her phone the night before. Now I could track her location throughout the day. I wanted to see how it would work before the agreement went into effect. Perhaps it won't be necessary if I see that she will end up in some inappropriate place again. The store opens at 8, and I knew Jeff wouldn't be able to come in until then, but I'm pretty sure he'll try to see her and talk her into it today. So I had to decide, go to the mall and see if his work van would show up, which I was sure it would, or wait and see what Jackie decided that evening. Another, slightly more private chance for them to talk would be at the bank when she makes a deposit. She usually then goes to Burger King, and they can sit in her car and talk or do something even more private. I don't have a smartphone, but I have a tablet. So I went to CVS, which is diagonally across from Burger King and connected to their network at 9:30. I checked her location, and she was still in the store. I wanted to get close to Burger King, so I went there, got a coffee, and sat in a corner, hidden from view, unless someone was purposefully backing up in the drive-thru. At 10:21, I checked her location. She was heading towards the bank. I tracked her phone to the bank, and then it showed that she stopped at Burger King and went through the drive-thru window. I was pretty sure she wouldn't come inside because if Jeff came, she'd want to talk to him in a more private setting. I saw her drive past me and park in the parking lot, facing the embankment where the highway that cuts through the area ran. A couple of minutes later, through the window, I saw Jeff's work van pull up and park next to her CRV. I waited a long 5 minutes, then got out and walked over to the driver's window of her car. I saw them lean towards each other and kiss. I knocked on the window and she screamed, turned around, and I saw shock on her face. She yelled something at Jeff, who immediately jumped out of the CRV, got into his van, and drove off. As he drove away, Jackie rolled down the window and started saying, "It's not what you think." "Keep it to yourself, Jackie. I'll start looking for a new place today." I turned around and walked away from her. I walked to the flower bed and vomited the coffee I had been drinking for the last half hour. Jackie pulled up and asked, "Can I take you home before I go back?" "We don't have a home anymore, Jackie. You own the house, you alone, because I am going to leave as soon as possible. And I don't need your ride after he sat in that seat and kissed you. So get out of my sight and leave me alone. But Phil, I kissed him on the cheek. I told him that I didn't want to. Didn't you tell him this in the store this morning? How did you know? I didn't know until now. Now I can't trust you not to see him again, so I'm leaving and we're breaking up. You're still cheating on me in your heart. Goodbye, Jackie. I turned away and walked towards the house to begin the serious house hunting and packing of things. She didn't say that she was going home, but she returned an hour earlier than usual. I didn't check her location because I already knew she was probably going to meet him somewhere else. She walked into the house, crying when she saw the suitcases in the hallway. Phil, please let me explain everything. There's nothing to explain. You said you wouldn't see him again, but you met him at Burger King, and I can't trust you to tell the truth. We are no more. But he followed me from the store. I think he was watching the store. But you shouldn't have let him in the car. You shouldn't have wasted your time on him, and you definitely should not kiss him. You encourage him, and I leave. How did you know I was going to be at Burger King? I've been sitting there since 9:30, waiting to see if you would show up, and if he did. You've been pretty secretive, and I can never trust your words again. I already have a one-room apartment, and I have already arranged mail forwarding. The taxi will be there in 15 minutes. I was going to leave before you arrived. Oh my God, you were serious when you said you were leaving. Have you ever seen me break a promise except when life is at risk? No. So why did you think I was serious about this? Because you love me and I thought. Did you think I was just threatening? Then you don't know me well if you think so. I love you enough to walk away and leave you with what you seem to want. But obviously you don't love me as much as I thought. My loss is your gain with your personal carpenter. But please, Phil. You received the articles of agreement that you were going to review. You can tear them up because you already did that in the Burger King parking lot this morning. I'll come back for the rest of your things while you're at work. I'll call to make sure I don't disturb you and your new friend before I come to get the rest of your things. She cried again and tried to touch me, but I backed away from her. She sat down heavily on a chair, and I heard a taxi horn. I opened the door and came out with 2 suitcases that I had managed to pack. After I got home from Burger King this morning, I went to our neighbor Sherry's across the street. I explained the situation to her, and she said that she was surprised and that she was sorry that we were breaking up. I asked if I could install a motion sensor camera in her window by connecting it to their network. She asked why this was. I want to see if he comes to our house today. This will help keep an eye on the house for a while. The microphone is muted, so I won't be able to hear what you say. I just want to see what's going on around the house. If he doesn't show up in 2 or 3 days, I don't know. If she doesn't come out, maybe we have a chance to keep what we had, but I have to give her a chance to either hang herself on this rope or save us both. Okay, Phil, do what you need to do. I will also take care of the house. Oh, who is this guy? A carpenter who works for the Lamberts. Is it true that Jeff is hitting on Jackie? Yeah, I caught them kissing in the Burger King parking lot this morning. He's kissed her before. Seriously, I have to call Donna and tell her about this. Who is Donna? His wife is my cousin. This dirty cheater. Jackie isn't the first person he's tried to screw over with his crap. Well, do what you need, but she admitted that he kissed her and wanted more. This has brought us to where we are now. Oh, asked Donna if she'd like to put a GPS tracker on Jeff's van to track where he goes when he's driving. I have an extra one. Installed one in Jackie's CRV, one in her day bag, and one in her jacket. Donna can take the 4th one if she wants. I'll call her right now and ask about the tracker, and I think I'll call her so we can keep an eye on the house together. Maybe it would be better if she parked somewhere further away so that Jeff wouldn't see her car nearby. Good idea. I'll ask her to park her car a few blocks from here. I gave Sherry my cell phone number and said, Call me if Donna wants a tracker or if you see anything suspicious, please. Of course, no problem. I was at the hotel I had pre-booked when my cell phone rang. It was Donna. She asked about the tracker, and I said she could have it. She also asked the brand to order another pair. I gave her all the information, and she said that she would be at my hotel in half an hour. I asked her to call when she arrived and said that I would meet her in the lobby. I didn't want her to come into my room. I connected my tablet to the hotel Wi-Fi to monitor the house. I checked Jackie's location and she was in the store. The phone app showed she was there, and it was a little more accurate than the mini trackers, but it was close enough anyway. We met, I gave her the tracker, and she headed to Sherry, saying that she would park the car a few blocks away and walk to the house with the least chance of being noticed. I thanked her and wished her luck. I didn't receive any news that evening. Periodically checking the cameras, I did not see anyone drive up to the house or Jackie going out anywhere. I went to bed and woke up around 6 in the morning. After putting on my robe, I went down to the lobby, grabbed 2 cups of coffee, and returned to my room. Then I reviewed the camera footage from the night. I looked for some movement, but didn't see anything until the garage opened at 5 in the morning and Jackie pulled out in her CRV. It was now 6:47. I checked her phone, she was at work. I checked the 4th tracker, it was motionless on the other side of the river. I left the tracker window on the tablet screen in the corner and left the location of Jackie's phone in the main window. She was still in the store. I quickly showered, got dressed, and went to Dunkin' Donuts, which was 2 blocks away. Got a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich on a bagel, and then went back to the room and checked the locations again. Jackie's phone was still in the store, but Jeff's tracker was moving. He crossed the river and was heading towards Jackie's location, but then turned and drove to the construction site. It was already 9:40 and Jackie left the store, heading north. She went to the bank and then to Burger King. Jeff's tracker was still at the construction site. I called Sherry and asked how Donna was doing, and she said that Donna had ordered 3 more trackers that should arrive later that evening. Sherry said Donna installs one of the trackers in her car because Jeff sometimes uses it to avoid driving the van everywhere. She was also going to put one in Jeff's jacket, which he wears when he goes out with his brother or other friends. I asked Sherry to ask Donna for the tracker codes so I could track Jeff too. Sherry said she would mention this to Donna, and we said our goodbyes. It turned out that Donna also covered many possible scenarios. I spent the day reading and checking out locations. They didn't intersect. I was getting ready to go to dinner. It was 6:12. I watched Jackie use the app on her phone to return home from the store. I checked the CRV's trackers and her bags, and they were all together. My cell phone rang as I entered the lobby, and I answered hearing, "Honey, it's me. Can we meet and talk, please?" "I don't know, Jackie. Have you seen Jeff since I left?" "No, honey. I told you that I kissed him on the cheek and said that I didn't want to see him anymore. I didn't see him. You could do it through a 2-inch wide window instead of with him sitting in your CRV. Sorry, I made a mistake. That was the last time I saw him. Can we please sit down and talk? I was just getting ready to have dinner." "Can I meet you? Where are you anyway?" "Come to Dunkin' on South Main Street, and we'll go to dinner from there." "How much time do you need?" 15 minutes. Is that okay?" "Yes, that's normal." I returned to the room and looked at the tablet. She was at home and heading somewhere. I checked the tracker on Jeff's van, and it was across the river. My phone rang, and it was Donna. I asked her to send me the serial numbers and tracker codes and gave her my email address. She said she would do it and asked what I was going to do. I said I was going out to dinner with Jackie, and she said okay and said goodbye. I walked down through the lobby and Jackie was standing in front of Dunkin'. A guy was talking next to her, and I heard her say, "No, thanks. No, here is my husband." I walked over and said, "Hey, honey, what's going on?" The guy looked at me, said, "Okay," and left. Jackie said, "He offered me dinner or drinks." "Well, you're a very attractive woman, Jackie." I saw a tear in her eye, and she said, Can we go somewhere quiet to eat, please? I need to apologize and try to get you home, please, Phil. Certainly. Are you coming home? She asked with hope in her voice and eyes. We can go somewhere quiet to eat, no problem. Oh, I thought you said you were coming home. It's still under discussion. I still have the articles of agreement. I didn't tear them apart. I signed them in front of a notary. Please, can you come home? I'm so depressed that you left, and it's all my fault. I was so stupid that I allowed. Let's go eat. I haven't had lunch. Let's talk. I took a step forward and Jackie came up to me and took my arm. It had been a long time since she had done this, and it felt very comfortable and even calming. I was hoping we could get back on track. I would have loved to go to Subway, but I decided that I would eat there tomorrow. We went to a small bar and grill with a bunch of tables, and I asked the hostess to sit us in a corner. Jackie ordered lemon water, and I ordered a gin and tonic with lime. I saw her eyebrow rise, and I said, "It's been such a week, Jackie." The drinks arrived, we ordered burgers and fries, and I asked, "About Burger King. Did Jeff follow you, or did you call him?" She didn't answer, so I waited a few more seconds and then said, "I can have his wife check his phone and see if your number is in his call log, if you'd prefer I go that route." "Is he married?" He said he was divorced. "And is it okay for you to kiss him?" She lowered her eyes to the table. "Well, I guess our conversation will end after dinner, because it's obvious you were very willingly involved, and I can never trust you again." "Phil, please," I fell under his influence. He was so sweet, and I just wasn't thinking at all. "So have you gotten involved with anyone else over the years, Jackie?" "No, I've never let my guard down before, and I don't know why I did it this week. I'm so sorry I even went there to look at the house. Please forgive me. If you come back to me, this will never happen again. Please give me a chance to prove to you that this will never happen again. I will follow your terms for the rest of my life if you come back to me, please." The burgers arrived, and the conversation stopped while I ate. After my first bite, I realized I hadn't realized how hungry I was. My stomach was in knots all day. Jackie took a few bites and said, "I'm not very hungry, Phil. Would you like the other half of my burger?" "No, that's enough. I don't want to overeat. So, are you willing to follow the terms for the rest of your life? And if I suspect you've made a mistake again, it'll all be over. Is this what you say?" "Yes, dear. I will always control myself if you come back to me." "You still haven't answered my question about Burger King." Jackie sighed. "I called and told him I was going to the bank. I should have realized that you were very upset on Wednesday when you asked about my blush. I'm very, very sorry. What can I do to make you feel better about us?" "Would you go to a therapist to talk about this?" "Yes, we can go to therapy." "No, Jackie, I want you to go to therapy and figure out why you did this. I don't need to discuss this with a therapist because I didn't do anything to jeopardize our marriage. I want you to go and understand why you did what you did." "Okay, I'll go to someone and figure it out, but I would like you to participate too. I'll be there in your thoughts." "What if the therapist wants to talk to you?" "Let him call me, and then we will discuss whether I need to go or not." "I don't think I want a male therapist." "It's your choice. Now that you've been honest about Burger King, how are you feeling, Jackie?" "A little better. I'm glad I told you what you wanted to know. I thought you would be angrier." "It's all in one basket, Jax. I'll just have to deal with it." She smiled when I used her pet name. "Is there anything else I need to know about?" "There is something you want to tell me because I want everything to be on the surface now. I don't want to find out later that something else happened and you didn't tell me about it. It'll be like another lie if you hide something, Jax." I tried to keep my face as neutral as possible. "Well, I brightened up Thursday morning a little. I didn't want to upset you even more, so I left something out." "Tell me now, Jax, or if this comes out later, it could completely ruin everything. Now, right now, you have a chance to be completely honest, and I will stick to the terms and therapy." She took a couple of deep breaths, and I saw the fear in her eyes. Well, on Thursday morning we will. Just say it, Jax. Just put it out there because obviously you know I hate it, but my offer still stands. Tell me now, or I'll pay the bill and leave forever. She closed her eyes and whispered, "That's all that happened. I'm so sorry, Phil. I knew I made a mistake, but I couldn't stop sooner. I'm really sorry." She opened her eyes and tears streamed down her cheeks. She confirmed what I suspected, but I needed to hear it from her. "Is that all? Was there nothing else? Have you reached?" No, no, it didn't go any further, and I couldn't go any further. I felt so guilty for letting him get this far. I'm a bad person. Forgive me. I took a deep breath and said, "I'll give you a definitive answer on whether I'll be back home by Sunday. I need to think about all this. If I feel that you are hiding something." "No more bad news, honestly, Phil. Please come back to me, and I will do whatever you want. I will find a therapist tomorrow and make an appointment ASAP to figure out why I did this. Please come back to me." The waitress approached our table twice, but seeing that we were having a very tense conversation, she turned around. The third time I waved to her, and she came over with the check. She took it out of her apron pocket and said, "I'll pick it up when you're ready, thank you." I looked at the check and took 3 20s out of my pocket. "Keep the change. Thank you for your attention to us. Good evening." She smiled widely. "Come back anytime, thank you." The bill was $43.08, and the tip was higher because she was reasonable and understanding when she saw that we were having a very emotional conversation. I walked Jackie to her car, and she looked at me as I opened the door for her. "Thanks, Phil. I'm so sorry I did this. Please consider giving me a second chance. I promise I'll never make that mistake again, please." She reached out to hug me, but I took half a step back. The sadness in her eyes was killing me, but I needed to make sure she understood where we were now and what the stakes were for both of us. She sat in the driver's seat, and as I started to close the door, she said, "I love you, Phil, and I'm so sorry I ruined everything. Please forgive me just once, please." "I love you too, Jackie, but I need to think about everything about our relationship." "Isn't that what family therapy is for? Could we consider marriage counseling? If I decide to move forward with you, it's highly likely, then maybe we'll go for it." I saw a flash of emotion on her face and in her eyes. "If you decide to move forward with me?" "Yes, Jackie, because now I have doubts and fears. I'm afraid you'll see Jeff again and secretly meet him somewhere. I never want to see him again. Please, Phil, forgive me. We'll talk on Sunday, I promise you that." I closed the door, heard her lock it, and left without looking back. I heard the engine start, and she started to pull out of the parking lot. I returned to the bar and sat down at the bar with another gin and tonic with lime. I was sitting there thinking when the waitress came up and asked, "So how was your date?" Looked pretty tense. I looked at her, she was smiling, and I said, "That was my wife. She started an affair in which I exposed her, and now decisions need to be made. She begged me to forgive her and come home, but I don't know if I can trust her now." Well, she looked very upset and cried a lot. "Yes, and she admitted that she lied to minimize what happened, so how can I trust her now? She said he didn't touch her, but now she says she stopped him. But if I pressed, would she say that her shirt and bra had been removed? I don't know what I can believe now." "I see your point, but in her defense, was she trying to minimize the story to save your relationship, so as not to hurt you so much? I don't know. I never thought she'd let another man go this far, kissing her, let alone touching her anywhere." "So you never?" "No, I haven't kissed another woman, let alone touched anyone's breasts." "That's not what I was going to ask. Have you ever looked at another woman and wanted to interact with her sexually?" I hesitated for a moment, and Kelly, the waitress, raised an eyebrow. "Well, tell me, who was it and what happened?" "One woman I worked with called Katie was very outgoing and very attractive, and I was thinking about making a move on her because she was constantly teasing and flirting with me. But I never touched her, I never kissed her, and I made sure that if we were together in the same room, the door was open all the time. Kelly stared at me for a few seconds, then said, "So you were very attracted to this Katie, but you did absolutely nothing." That's right. I was married to Jackie, and I love her so much that I would die for her. But I would never disrespect her by approaching another woman. You are simply a saint. You should have a halo over your head. I don't know a single man who could resist the temptation you speak of. Like I said, I love Jackie to the point that I would sacrifice my life for her. Well, do you think she's dying inside right now? Don't you think she's suffering just as much, if not more, than you? If you were ready to die for her, you would forgive her mistake and try to improve your relationship. Doesn't she deserve your forgiveness? I lowered my head and said, I don't know if I deserve her forgiveness now. You made me look at it from a woman's point of view. You're worth it, judging by the way she looked at you. She loves you too. Call her before she does something even stupider and try to make things right. I thanked Kelly and went to pay for my drink, but she said, "This drink is on the house. Your tip was too generous. I thought you came back to party with me, but it's obvious you just wanted to drown your sorrows. Go and save the relationships that need to be saved." I thanked her and left. I returned to my room and was about to call Jackie when I looked at the tablet. Jackie was home, but then I looked at the other trackers. One of Jeff's trackers was located outside our house. I was furious. I called a taxi, and within 15 minutes I was at the house. I walked through the garage, then through the laundry room into the kitchen. Jackie was sitting at the table talking to Donna. I walked in, my face a mask of anger, and it took me a few seconds to calm down. Jackie jumped up as I entered, a look of surprise on her face, and then nothing. Her face went blank. I relaxed and said, "Sorry, I saw the car in the driveway and thought Jeff was here, and I was ready for a fight. Sorry, I'm really sorry." Jackie came over and put her arm around my waist, saying, "It's okay. You didn't know what awaited you. Donna told me about Jeff and his constant cheating, and she asked me to testify in court because she wanted to divorce him. I'm ready to help her if you don't mind." I looked at Donna and asked, "Would Jeff kissing her be reason enough for a divorce?" Donna looked at me with a strange expression, and Jackie said, "Phil, I didn't tell you everything that happened because I didn't want to break your heart and ruin our chances of making things right. Did you sleep with him, Jackie?" She fell to the floor, grabbed my legs, and moaned, "I'm so sorry, Phil. I was crazy. I don't know why I did it." I leaned over, released her hands from my legs, and took 2 steps back. "Phil, please, I'm so sorry." "Jackie, I told you to tell me everything at dinner, but you still lied. I said this was a chance to confess, and we would try to make things work, but you lied again. I can never trust you again. I was going to come home today and say we're going to pick up my things and bring them back, but this news changed my plans." "Oh no, Phil, please don't say that. I'm so sorry. I was afraid to tell you everything because I thought you would never want to see me again. Please, Phil, forgive me for this mistake, please." "You got your chance at dinner, Jackie. I was in pain. But now it's obvious that you didn't stop him, but lied again. The lies from your mouth will never stop, so it's over between us. I'll pick up my things soon." "I thought you already signed the lease for the apartment, Phil." "No, I was at a hotel in town, hoping we could make things right. I told you that I would forgive you if you told me everything over dinner, if you would just trust me the way I trusted you all these years. But now this conversation is over." I walked around her, still sobbing on the floor, and walked out the front door. I was planning to walk back to town. It's only 3 miles. Donna caught up with me before I reached the end of the driveway and called out to me. I stopped and turned around. She came up to me and said, "Phil, I know you love her, but please think again. Jeff can charm anyone if he wants to. He is very cunning. That is how I fell into the trap of marrying him. Please think again. She made a mistake, but she loves you. She didn't want to go to court so you'd never find out what she did. But please come back and talk to her. Try to understand." Donna, if she had told me over dinner that she slept with him, I would have been heartbroken, but I was prepared for the possibility. She's like a wild cat in bed when she's warmed up, and I expected to hear that she slept with him. If only she had confessed, we would be in a better place now. She just didn't trust me enough to tell the truth. How can I trust her now? She didn't tell you because she loves you and didn't want to hurt you further. If I knew you were coming tonight, I wouldn't bring this up now. Please come back, sit down and talk to her. I don't want her to do something to herself because she's worried about her mistake. Please, Phil, if you love her even a little, come back. I couldn't argue with that because, although the news was devastating, it didn't surprise me. Donna, did you mention trackers? No, I need to keep an eye on Jeff, and if I told Jackie about this, who knows what she would do. Okay, because I need to watch her now to understand what she does when she's not at home. I followed Donna back into the house. Jackie sat at the table and sobbed, hiding her face in her hands. Donna walked in first and asked, Phil, which chair do you want to sit in? Jackie suddenly raised her head and looked at me with the saddest eyes I had ever seen. I sat down on a chair at the far end of the table. Donna, Jackie, I convinced Phil to come back. Please tell him the whole truth, no exceptions. Put it all out there, otherwise you'll lose him forever. Phil, I'm so sorry. Jackie, you repeat this over and over again. I asked you to tell me the truth, so now tell me everything, without a trace, or I will leave forever. This is your last chance, the moment of truth. It's all up to you. I told Donna what I expected to hear at dinner, but I didn't hear it until I came here. Jackie sighed and looked at me. I slept with Jeff twice, on Wednesday and Thursday morning. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but it's true. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I did it and I can't even explain why. I love you, you are a wonderful husband, and I don't know what came over me. I'm so sorry I did it, and I thought I could avoid the consequences, but my conscience just ate me up. I don't know why I went back there on Thursday, but it was to tell him not to bother me anymore, and we ended up having sex again before I called you and told you I was going home. Please believe me that I have never done anything like this before, and I don't know why I did it now. I'm going to see a therapist to sort this out because I don't want this to happen again. Donna asked, where was his assistant? When I arrived, Jeff gave him $20 for coffee and told him to take a half-hour break. This guy looked at me and smiled as if he knew what was going to happen. I think Jeff has done this before. I just sat there, feeling empty and broken. I lowered my head and started crying. Jackie called to me, Phil, please look at me. I'm so sorry I was so stupid for letting myself get dragged into this. I was interested in the project, and he used this interest of mine to get closer to me. I'm so ashamed. Please forgive me. I simply nodded my head. Phil, please look at me. It had nothing to do with you, honestly. I just let him use my passion for the project, and he took advantage of it. Yes, Jackie, I understand. I forgive you. Goodbye. I stood up and headed towards the door. She grabbed my hand and said, Please, Phil, I can't lose you, please. We can get through this. I will do everything to make it right. I don't know what you can do, Jackie. You literally tore my heart into pieces, little by little. I'm not sure there's anything left. I don't know what to do now. Please, Phil, don't go. I'm not the one who left, Jackie. It was you who left for another man. I was not looking for another woman. It was you who left me. Phil, I'm sorry. I didn't put it that way. I know it's my fault. I'm very tired, Jackie. I'll go to the guest room to sleep. Good night, Donna. I went to the guest room, stripped down to my underwear, and got into bed. I fell asleep like a depressed person. I woke up with Jackie next to me. I didn't even notice when she got into bed with me. I got up, went to the bathroom, and then headed to the kitchen for coffee. A few minutes later, Jackie came out and said, Hi, and I asked, Why did you get into bed with me? I needed to hug you because I don't want to lose you because of my mistake. I was looking for therapists last night and will make an appointment today ASAP. Please, Phil, give me a chance to make things right. You know, yesterday, after I walked you to the car, I went back to the bar and sat down. The waitress came up to me, started talking, and she ended up defending you too when I told her our situation. She suggested that I had been interacting, as she put it, with another woman over the years of our marriage. When I said that I had no desire to interact with anyone else, she called me a saint. I told her I love and respect you too much to ever change. Looks like it wasn't mutual, Jackie. The waitress asked if I had ever been attracted to another woman, and I said yes, but I didn't do anything. She said I was one in a million. She asked if I loved you, and I said I was ready to sacrifice my life for you. And then she asked why I can't forgive you if I'm ready to die for you. That's when I came home and saw the car in the driveway and thought it was Jeff. I was ready for a fight. I love you more than life itself, Jackie, but I can't stand your lies. Is there anything else I need to know? You understand that everything comes up sooner or later anyway. No, Phil, nothing more. It was my mistake with Jeff. Nothing else happened. My conscience is clear, except these last 2 weeks. There is nothing more. I looked at her for several minutes. Are you sure this is it? Is there nothing more to tell me? No. Apart from Jeff, my life was dedicated only to you. Did you happen to do something to his assistant? Oh God, no. Why did you even think about that? Are you really surprised that such a thought could come into my head after everything that happened? With annoyance in her voice, she said, Okay, yes, I made a mistake, but only with Jeff, never with anyone else. Okay, Jackie, I'll pick up my things and return home today. I'll be home before you get home from work, but I'll sleep in the guest room. We won't sleep together. Why won't you sleep in our bed? This step may take some time. Please don't push me, Jackie. She finished packing her lunch and said, Okay, I'll go get changed for work. Do you want to talk to me while I change? Not today. I'm going to take a shower and go to the hotel to get my things. I'll be home until you return. Okay, I'll call you from the store when I leave. From the store to the store phone. She went to work and I picked up my things. I periodically tracked her location throughout the day. Donna told me she filed for divorce and Jeff contested it. She said Jackie would probably have to testify in court, but would definitely have to leave a written statement. Both Donna's and Jeff's lawyers will be at the hearing. Jackie and I continued to live in the same house, but I did not respond to her attempts to get me back into bed. She even started walking around the house topless to get my attention. It would have worked before, but now it doesn't. She went to therapy and made progress in solving her problems. One day, the therapist called me and asked me to come with Jackie. I asked why this was necessary, and she said that Jackie had hit a wall, and in order to move forward, she needed my participation. I agreed to 5 sessions, which allowed us to move forward with Donna's divorce hearing date. After the 3rd session, I informed the therapist that I was canceling the last 2. Donna got her divorce and called me to tell me that Jackie had to testify after all. Jeff's lawyer put a lot of pressure on her, but she held out. I thanked Donna, and when Jackie got home, I asked how it went. It was hard, Phil, but I told the truth, and I'm glad it's over. I hope I never see his face again. Well, it's good that this is behind us. I handed her the envelope with our divorce papers, and she looked at it and asked, What are these? These are our divorce papers, Jackie. What? Why are you doing this? Because I can forgive what you did, that mistake the first time you slept with Jeff, but the second time you went back to him, knowing you would have sex with him again, I can't forgive. This was a clear betrayal, not an impulsive act that is difficult to control. You testified in court today. This is now part of a public matter, and I am leaving you. But I thought things were getting better for us. The therapist said you are discussing this with her. Did she tell you what we talked about? No, she can't. Well, I canceled the last 2 sessions because we were talking about how adamant I am, how strongly I believe that marital vows are a commitment. You were seduced the first time when you slept with Jeff, but the second time it was your conscious desire to have sex with him again. But I haven't seen him since. I know because I tracked your phone, car, and bag. Donna kept an eye on his van, the car he sometimes drives, and his favorite jacket. None of them have crossed paths since the incident. But I can't stay here anymore. I told Donna I was going to divorce you, and she asked me to wait until her divorce was finalized so you would be ready to testify against Jeff. Now that that's over, I need to find someone who shares my belief that marriage is a total commitment to your spouse. I could forgive the first time with Jeff, but not the second. My things are already packed, as well as those that I need or are important. Get a lawyer if you want, Jackie. Goodbye. I opened the front door and walked out of her life with a broken heart. I didn't know if I'd ever be able to put it back together again. Jackie apparently contacted a lawyer and learned that her testimony in Donna and Jeff's divorce case could be used in our case as well. She had nothing to stand on in court. If she hadn't given a statement or affidavit for Donna, it would have just been, he said, she said, and she would have had a chance. But Jackie has always been a kind person who loves to help others, and this time her help to Donna turned against her. I stopped going to family reunions because it was too painful. Memories of happy times. I kept hearing that Jackie missed me and I couldn't take it anymore, so I stopped seeing my grandchildren regularly. The divorce created a wedge in the relationship with them, and I hated this consequence of her cheating, which she called one mistake. It took 14 months of sporadic visits with my grandchildren to start moving in the right direction. Talk about grandma almost stopped after the first 5-6 months. I saw my grandchildren every 5-6 weeks, calling Jen the day before to see if a visit was possible. I arrived when the children were at school, spent the evening with them, spent the night, and in the morning I took them to the school bus. Then I took 2 trains to return home. I started talking to some people in my apartment complex and listened to their stories. One guy was married twice. His first wife cheated on him, and then he cheated on his second wife and vowed never to marry again. The other man was married 3 times. His first wife cheated on him, then he cheated on his second, and then he married his mistress. But she also cheated on him, and he also vowed not to marry again. Both of them were lonely. I heard similar stories from several women I met at a club in our complex. I felt a little lonely myself, too. One Monday, Jen called and asked if I would like to come watch my grandchildren take their belt test in their section. I said that I would like to and arranged everything for the trip. Tuesday and Wednesday, I was in a good mood looking forward to meeting the kids and hopefully watching them test for their new belts. I arrived at the apartment at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and knocked on the door. Jackie opened the door. She smiled slightly and said, "Come in. Jen said you were coming for the exam. She didn't say you'd be here." I tried to keep my voice calm, without a hint of slight irritation or any negative feelings. "I think she figured you wouldn't come if you knew I'd be here." I paused for a few seconds and said, "I don't know if I would have stayed home or come, but it's nice to see you. You look good." She did look good, but I noticed the tension in her eyes, which then turned into softness, and she smiled. "I see a therapist every week and have learned a lot about myself. I feel much better than when all this happened. You've lost weight and look more relaxed. You're probably remembering the last few months when things weren't going well for us. I guess, but you look a lot happier." I shrugged. I accepted my fate, and with that came a different perspective on life, I guess. We were still standing at the door, and Jackie looked surprised for a moment, and then said, "Oh, sorry, come in. We shouldn't stand at the door and talk about such things. Jen, your father has arrived." "Okay, Mom, great," came from one of the bedrooms. I stepped inside and Jackie closed the door. She took me to the kitchen table and asked, "Coffee, tea, or something else?" Her expression was very neutral, but this phrase was part of our game in the first 20-odd years of our marriage, and although it gradually disappeared, it reminded me of those times. Some water would be nice, but I can pour it myself, thanks." "No, please let me bring it to you." I sat down and Jackie brought a glass and bottle of water to my seat. She looked at me for a few seconds and then said, "About that time, I'm really sorry that happened. Jackie, it's in the past and it's over. There's no need to talk about it." My voice was quiet and very soft. I looked at her and shook my head. "This is water under the bridge, and it can't be changed. So unless you have to really talk about it, I'd rather leave it behind." I just had to say it. "What have you been up to lately?" "Well, I became part of a group of visually impaired and blind people in my area. I spend a few days every month at events with them. In addition, I read a lot, go to the apartment complex club, and exercise 3 to 4 times a week. I am a member of a chess club and am improving my skills. I also play cards with a group of people. What do you do?" "I go dancing twice a week, belong to a book club once a month, go for walks often, and have taken a couple of cooking classes." "Are you dating someone?" "No, I have no interest in dating. Several women invited me to dinner, but I refused. We see each other in a card group or a club, but I don't." I stopped and after a moment asked, "And you? Are you dating someone?" "Yes, but it didn't work out. He found a flaw in me that ruined our relationship. Since then, I haven't looked for anyone. I was invited, but I don't think anyone can compare, so I won't waste time on it." "I'm sorry this happened. You deserve a good person to spend time with. You are the kindest woman I have ever met." "Well, don't put yourself down. You're amazing. I'm sorry I ruined everything." Jen walked out of the bedroom and walked over to the table. "What are you two talking about?" I replied, "About old times," and Jackie smiled, "About the past." Jen said with a big smile, "Well, I'm glad it's quiet here. I was afraid that Dad would be angry when he saw you, Mom." "No, Jen, I've already calmed down, haven't you noticed?" "Yes, but I wasn't sure how you would react." I sighed and said, "It's okay. We're fine. When do we pick up the children?" "We need to leave in 5 minutes." "Okay, Jax. Do you need to use the restroom before you go out?" They both looked at me and smiled. "What? Why such smiles?" I asked. "You called your mom Jax, and I haven't heard you call her that in a long time." Jackie got up and went to the bathroom. She came out a couple of minutes later and said, "Your turn, honey." I got up and went to the bathroom, not even noticing how we had fallen back into old habits. The belt exams were successful, and then we all went to dinner. After dinner, we returned to the apartment. The children took a shower and went to bed. Jackie went into the bathroom with her night clothes and came out 5 minutes later. I also went to change clothes. Usually, when I stayed overnight, I slept on the couch, but with Jackie there, I opted for a recliner just like I did when we were married. Jackie turned on HGTV and I reclined my chair and began to fall asleep. I heard Jackie move around the room and then felt a kiss on my cheek as she said, "It's so good to see you and talk to you again, Pete. I missed you so much." I was half asleep and muttered, "I miss talking to you too, Jax. Good night." In the morning, after the kids caught the school bus, we returned to the apartment. Jen said, "Well, I have plans with Beth, so." "Okay, baby, I'll be leaving soon. I have a train in 20 minutes. Love you, bye." "Jax, it was nice to see you. Take care of yourself. I think we'll see each other again." "Pete, would it be easier if I took you home? I have no plans for today. Will you agree to the trip?" asked Jackie. I bowed my head and replied, "I guess so, but it will take you a long time, won't it?" "It doesn't matter. I have all day and night if necessary." She smiled and blushed a little. Pete smiled back. "This could take a long time, Jax." Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think. Click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next